How can you tell which scriptures are in the Bible? For example, Wisdom 3 1 to 9.
Yeah, good question, Aaron. Uh, we actually already have a video that we went into depth on why do we have the 66 books of the Bible that we do. So we're going to drop a link in the chat so you can see it. It's really thoroughly explained video, 20 minutes that you can watch. But in a nutshell, what we call the Old Testament, we got from the Jews. They call it the Tanakh, and they largely already had that figured out and put together even by Jesus's time. And it was probably before that by the likes of Nehemiah. I think Nehemiah might have been, or not Nehemiah, but Ezra. Ezra probably was the one who did most to pull it together and say this is what the canon is going to be. I mean, little bit of speculation there, but yeah, by the time we get to Jesus's time, several hundred years even after Ezra, it was already figured out. They got the book. This is our canon, the Jews said. And then books like Wisdom and all that, they were part of their apocrypha, their extra biblical set of literature, and they had many books that were part of their extra biblical literature. I mean, it's kind of like nowadays we have Star Wars, we have the MCU, we have all these things, but they were much more strict, and what they had was just biblical literature that was about the Bible and biblical characters. It was made up stuff like I was going to say like the Book of Enoch. I don't want to offend people, but even the thing like where Jesus talks about in Luke, where Lazarus dies and go to hell and all this stuff, like he's or actually Lazarus goes to the bosom of Abraham. He's talking there about the Apocrypha of Zephaniah, which was a story that they all knew back then. So there's tons of writings, but most of them agreed these are fun to read, but they're not scriptural. They're not scripture. They're inconsistent at times with scripture. And then for the New Testament writings, we talked about this even recently, I think, where we talked about even within the first couple hundred years, like Christianity had really more or less consolidated what they thought was the canon and what we have today. Like there really wasn't that much debate. And then you had some where the Bishop of Rome decided, hey, well, we want to include all these other apocryphal books, and they added to the Apocrypha, but they still recognize that there's some difference there. They still have the canon and the Apocrypha. So, Tina, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just want to point out that our producer put links to these in the comment section. So if you're interested in getting a little bit more information from a past answer, be sure to check those out.